Hello everyone, it's Dopio again. And before I get on with this video, I would just like to say thank you so much to everyone for the response to the last video. It was absolutely astounding. I really appreciate all the comments. It got way more views than I thought it would. And I appreciate the promotion from Lord Knight and Ruby Chan. And everyone else who retweeted the video, put it out there anymore. I really appreciated the response from the video and how much people really said to enjoy it and how much they wanted to help me out. It was really nice, and I feel really blessed to be in such an awesome scene. And thank you again to all the commenters and stuff. I had a really nice discussion with a lot of you, and yeah, I hope to continue putting videos like this out into the SG space. I want to sort of talk about different concepts in the games and stuff that I notice. And if you have any other video ideas, any concepts of stuff that you might think would be interesting or you might think pique my interest, feel free to put them in the comments. DM me on any of the sources that I have linked on my YouTube, and I would love to at least think about making those sorts of ideas come to life as well. So without further ado, let us get to this video currently, which is going to be about why I decided to switch teams in SG and some of the reasons that might go into why people decide to change teams and characters in fighting games in general, right? So the team on the right that you're seeing, Bayo with Robo Beam and Big Band A-Train, was the team I ran for about a year. I played it since EVO of last year until CB of this year. So I played it throughout that entire stretch. This team I thought was really good, and I wanted to play it for quite a bit of time. But after fighting one too many Peacock players, I joke, but after wanting to experiment with different assists that I thought would be good against zoners and some urging from a good friend, Hunter Halfhands, I decided to try out playing Bayo Umbi Brass, right, with Soul Grinder assist. And for a long time, I was very hesitant about switching teams. There were a lot of doubts that were flowing into my mind because I felt the reasons that I was picking the team were a little bit flawed, right? But over playing this team and understanding sort of some of the reasons why switching to a different team might be good, I sort of developed some understanding as to the different reasons that people say that they would want to switch and what my reason was, and one of the sort of reasons that I don't really see discussed amongst the whole character crisis discussion that comes up in fighting games every now and again. So I thought, why not make a video about it from an SG angle specifically and sort of talk about the different reasons that could go into it, at least some of the reasons that occurred to me, and hopefully this perspective helps some of y'all at home dealing with a character crisis, or some of you that might deal with a character crisis in the future. It happens to all of us, no shame in it. So first and foremost, I should talk about the reason that everyone says that they should switch their characters, which is balance. You know, this character is really good. Fortune mixes me 4 times before I hit the floor, and then she hits me, and then 2 touches me. It's fucking broken. It's bullshit, right? I should switch from playing Philia, Eliza, Beowulf, any other character to playing these busted-ass, broken-ass top tiers, right? While this is a fair reason, right? It's understandable why someone would want to do this, and I salute you if you want to switch your team and this is your reason and you're going through with it. That's totally fine. I don't think, unless you're switching to the best character in the game, or if it's not super clear in the case of something like Street Fighter, right? One of the best characters in the game. Balance alone is not usually the only reason that you're changing your team, right? If my only argument was that I want to pick a character that is the best and that I'm going to be able to win with, and I'm not going to have to worry about my character, in theory, you should always just pick the best team in the game. You should always just pick, in this case, it would be Bayo, Annie, Robo, or if you think that, Bayo, Annie, Peacock is the best team in the game, you can also pick that, whatever have you. The main idea is that, you should play what is the best, or balance can't be the only reason that you're switching the team, because then you have another reason for picking characters that are worse than the best, right? There was some of that going on in my head where I'm like, Brass is better because, not a lot of people tend to play Brass with their Bayo teams, and those usually do well. But realistically, all different configurations of Bayo have done well. The winningest Beowulf players have all played A-Train plus another assist for neutral. And so balance isn't really the main reason why switching this team, or I think really switching to any team other than the best, is justified. A slightly better reason would be synergy, right? This is a little bit different than balance because it doesn't necessarily have to do with how good the characters are individually. It has more to do with how the team works together as a whole to bring out the different strengths of the characters. For instance, on the team on the right, when you're stuck with just Robo plus A-Train, it's actually pretty weak. Robo plus A-Train isn't an extremely strong team. You do get very consistent two touches with Robo, which is really, really nice. Robo doesn't usually do that unless she has like 3 bar. But she can actually very consistently get two touches with neutral or positive meter, which is really, really nice for Robo. But it can still be difficult to win the neutral game with no neutral assist as Robo Fortune, right? Whereas this team, right, Bayo, Umbi, Brass, when you lose Bayo on this team, Umbi Brass is actually a very, very good shell by itself, and it kind of does like everything you need it to. Brass is like a neutral assist, it's a combo assist, it allows you to two-touch, it does basically everything for Umbi, so it's really, really strong even when you lose Bayo on this team. Assists are not the only reason for synergy, right? Like, obviously, if you pick, like, Bayo, Fortune, Peacock, it's going to be a lot harder to build hype than either of these two teams where you have assists that directly build you hype. So these teams will synergize with Bayo a lot more than just picking two top tiers, right? But there's also other things that go into this. I mean, like, for instance here, safety HCs are like a big, big, big factor, right? Being able to tag into your characters in and out of different slots, without having any risk at all, as long as you have 2 meter, is really, really big because it means that you can very consistently heal your characters up. It means that you can get characters in and out of a match because of bad matchups or different things like that. So, and it mitigates a lot of risk of doing like random supers and neutral because if you have 2 meters, you can just instant cancel, right? And you're safe no matter what. So there are other factors that play into synergy, but overall, synergy is a pretty solid reason for switching teams. The only thing that I would counter with is that in SG, a game where you can choose your assists as like any move on a character, there's usually ways to make almost any team in the game work together in a way that is like beneficial for all the characters involved, right? If Ruby's Twitter has proven anything to anybody, it's that Bayo can build hype with like a lot of different fucking assists, right? Like a lot of assists that you would normally not think are like Bayo hype assists, but actually do build you a lot of meters. So, for instance, Beam can actually build you hype and can get you 2 touches, which is really, really crazy. I would never expect that to be the case. So usually synergy is a great reason, but most teams can work together well, right? And that, while it was a part of my decision, I think this last thing was the main thing that sort of cemented it in my mind. Hey, this is why I want to switch, which has to do with learning, right? Simply just learning how to play a different style of Beowulf, right? This might seem a little strange. You might say, okay, well, why don't you just like play the team casually? Like, why did you have to switch your whole team? Why did you drop the other one, right? I think playing the character in tournament specifically gives you a new perspective, and solely dedicating your time to this one thing, right? And then maybe later on down the line, if you want to switch after that, gives you a sort of new way of thinking about the game. The way I sort of thought about this was I come from a card game background, right? I play a lot of different card games for a very long time, and my current fascination has been Cardfight Vanguard, right? I'm a big, big, big Cardfight Vanguard fan. I've been playing since Standard, so since 2021, and very, very recently, I was playing the same deck for basically that entire period of time, Bastion. And I wanted to switch decks, but I was a little bit nervous to do so for similar reasons why I don't switch characters in fighting games, right? I want to stick with one character, one trick, and just learn how to interact with all the matchups, right? But a good player and a good friend of mine told me, hey, you should try to experiment with different decks, because if you want to switch decks, if you're going to end up buying a new deck anyway, you may as well try out a bunch of different decks, right, that you have access to, obviously, and see what playstyle you like. That way, not only do you sort of know what options are available in the game, what options you might like to play, but it also allows you to know, how do I counter different strategies in the game? How do different strategies work, right? And what are they looking for that you might not know if you're not playing the deck yourself? What breakpoints, how much damage do they do? Different things like that, right? And so I continued down this path. I picked up a bunch of different decks, played a bunch of different decks, and I actually picked up a new deck that I'm really, really in love with. That's a completely different playstyle from Bastion, right? It's completely brand new, but it gave me a new perspective as to understanding the game, and it just, frankly, just led to me enjoying the game a lot more. And so with that perspective, I kind of went into this character switching dilemma, and I said, why not, right? If I play Umbi Brass, right, it's going to give me a brand new perspective on how Beowulf works. I've theorized about how Brass sort of changes different stuff and how it might change different character matchups, but without playing it myself, I'm never going to understand that, right? I'm never really going to be able to get in the weeds of like what makes these characters function differently with different assists. And so I did. And so I put the time in and I put the effort in, and I'm finally kind of getting to the perspective where I can see how different matchups change with having Brass versus not having Brass, right? And also how valuable A-Train is as opposed to other hype building assists, right? And not only has this made the game much more interesting, it's given me a lot more layers to sort of delve into about the different characters and what my characters can do. I mean, it's made the game more fun because I can deal with Peacock a little bit easier, deal with some problem matchups that I used to have a lot of problems with. But it's also led to me being a lot more resilient as a player in terms of patches, right? Because this is a game that's consistently being updated for a very long time. It's not like Marvel 2, it's not like CVS 2 where these games have a set top tier and you can kind of just pick them and you know that they're there for life. This game is going to change, right? And while I might be, a big change or a small change, the characters on my team might, change in viability or how they even play from patch to patch. So being able to have that resilience to know that, I can switch characters. I have 2 teams that are accessible to me, and I can very consistently switch characters and pick it up a lot easier now that I've already had experience with that. It makes the experience of having to deal with patches a lot easier on me as a player and as a competitive player. And yeah, I think if you're someone who deals with this issue of like, should I switch character? Should I not switch character? If you do genuinely feel like you will learn a lot more from playing a different character, seeing that perspective, even if you don't stick with it long term, even if I go back to Robo Band, I now know how to fight Umbi. I now know how Brass works, and I've learned actually some stuff about these A-Train teams that I would never have known if I had not tried Brass, right? And maybe you could find that in other games in your own, specific ways, or even in Skullgirls, right? So yeah, that's basically all I wanted to talk about today. There are some other some other topics that I can go into. There's a secret hidden 4th reason, but it's a whole other discussion topic that goes into something completely else. So I think for now, this is kind of what I wanted to discuss, and I hope it was pretty clear as to some of the decision making that I had made, and I hope it kind of makes sense. And yeah, feel free to let me know if you have any thoughts, any video ideas, anything like that. I'm going to try to continue making these. My house is currently infested with mold, so it's been a little bit more difficult to sort of sit in my room and not lose brain cells, but I'm going to try to keep putting these out there as best I can. So yeah, for now, take care. Have a wonderful day, everybody, and continue playing Skullgirls. See you soon.